Tonight's town hall was inspired by Trish Kelly. Trish handily won a nomination to run with Vision Vancouver on its Parks Board slate in the upcoming municipal election. Less than a month later, that electoral run was over. She withdrew from the Parks Board race after details of her sex-positive art and activism became more public. It still raises questions about how queer, and especially how sexual, we can be as political candidates and still be considered electable. How much of ourselves can we openly share and bring to political life and still be considered viable candidates?
I think it was a really gutless and stupid decision that somebody made, that somehow Trish was not going to be a viable candidate in the city of Vancouver. This is not Aldergrove. This is Vancouver. The way they reacted and the way that ridiculous headline in that blog went, it seemed as if she was having live sex on stage with an elephant. I mean, really, we have blown this way out of proportion. Masturbation is a really healthy thing to talk about, and society would be a lot better and a lot more healthy if it actually talked about sexual issues. And we as queer people have been doing this for a long time, and this is one of the things that we have to take on, is we have to be sexually honest with each other and with society, and it's extremely, extremely important for the health of all society, all society.
I think that the challenge is, if you're going to try and enlist people and say you need to get involved in the political system, you have to care, you have to have a safe place for them to come to. Because what I found was I did a lot of organizing in my nomination campaign and brought hundreds of people out to sign up for Vision Vancouver and ask them to care about politics. But you need to have a safe place for those people to come to. Otherwise, what you're risking is bringing them along and then abandoning them.
I've always been out. Obviously, when I was elected, I was the first one in an NDP caucus and in cabinet when I went in cabinet. And I felt quite alone and was often fighting for issues and getting pushed back. But since then, so many more people have come out. I mean, the biggest change that has occurred is because so many people keep coming out, and that's true in politics and running, and that becomes less and less problematic.
I really do think that we are a sex-phobic society. People are afraid to talk about sex. They're not afraid about queer people anymore, they're not. But they're afraid about is sex. And when we become sexual, then we become somebody that they fear.
I was very disappointed with the NDP when they forced a candidate out of Vancouver Falls Creek for what was alleged to be racy pictures. And I would like to encourage people to run as candidates who have racy histories, because that's who we are. We have great and interesting histories.
Young people are creating their own versions of what sexuality means to them, and adults are terrified of that. They're expressing it on social media and through Facebook, through Twitter. And I think that young people have a voice. They are intelligent and they are able to make decisions around who they want to vote for.
Back when I was fighting the United Church of Canada, I was considered extremely dangerous at that time. I was considered the devil incarnate at that time. I had death threats back at that time. When I got ordained, I had death threats. And when I got elected as the first MLA, I was considered extremely dangerous. I think that we're all dangerous at a certain time because of the issues that we bring forward. And now this is an issue that Trish is bringing forward that's very dangerous now. But it's always been dangerous for our community to speak out at any time.
I think that we do need to challenge political parties on this idea that this is not a safe issue to run a candidate on. And I think that there is room for that. One thing I want to note is that I believe that as a community, we are inherently sex positive. I'm queer and I'm political, and that I'm not ashamed of my sexuality. That's the essence of what queerness is. So that does make me dangerous as a public figure. And I think on top of that, being a woman, Being sex positive means I'm a woman, I'm queer, and I talk about sex. Like those elements alone are dangerous when you're trying to get the approval of overall society, or when you're working with a political party that has to hedge their bets on whether or not you're electable.
About 6 or 7 years ago, we were doing some YouTube workshops on the store. And I decided I was going to do one on douching, right? So I got all the douche bulbs up and we set the cameras up and I just explained the importance of douching and douching in a proper way. And then I did one on vibrators and one on female masturbation. And then the fellow who did it, the professional dude who did it, he kept it in the can for 2 or 3 days. And I thought about this, and I thought, this would be the end of my political career. This would be like saying I can never run for politics again. And it would stop me from thinking about it, about wishing for it. And I thought about it for 2 or 3 days, and I phoned the guy, and he said, run the sucker.